Okay, so welcome back to the Slow Hustle interview series. And today I have with me Debbie, who runs a really interesting online store that she will tell us about. Debbie, thank you for joining me and welcome.
Thank you, Nick, and hi to all of your listeners. So my name is Debbie Combrink, and I am the founder of my little side hustle come passion project, which is called Positano, positano.co.za. It is a lifestyle boutique that I have established, and thanks to COVID-19 and 2020, gave me the opportunity to explore some of the options, which is great.
Gave you the push. Nice. I like that. That is very much how I see life. I was listening to the CEO of Airbnb talk about crisis in COVID and how their business was destroyed. And he said, there's really three ways to manage a crisis. You can do less than is expected of you. You can do more than is expected of you, or you can do exactly what is expected of you. And I like to think that people who started things in COVID, they did more than was expected of them. And I like to see that.
Absolutely. And I think that kind of, spilled over from in my day job. We did exactly that. We had to, I'm in the events business. We had to pivot and find other ways to add value. We produce wine events around the country. And we really did an incredible job as a team in kind of regrouping. And suddenly we were running wine courses and doing an online wine survey for the industry and offering our platforms to the wine industry, to the farms for free, just purely because we felt that we wanted, we needed to keep the wine conversation alive. And I think the inspiration that I gained from that in a work capacity sort of spilled over into my personal life, and me kind of going, well, there are 24 hours in a day. Enough with the excuses. We've been talking about this for how long? I've been dreaming and blue sky thinking, and what better time than now? So it was exactly that. I did I don't know if you know the coach John T. Mayer, business coach. I've done some incredible work with him in the past, and he was running a 12-week manifestation course online during lockdown, and I signed up for that, and it just kind of started a process and a journey that helped me take the blinkers off and be open to other possibilities and different ways of doing things. So yes, it's been an amazing eye-opener to just kind of, I was in corporate for many, many years and just always knew that was how you did things. And I think suddenly, we were presented with, people who'd been in corporates for 20 odd years losing their jobs. I mean, unheard of. Loyalty wasn't even a factor anymore because it was just down to the bottom line. And, if there's no business, there's no business. And so just it allowed me the opportunity to think differently and to think creatively about if it was a blank canvas, what would I want to be doing to fill my day? So hence cool. Positano was born.
Yeah, very cool. And just straight out of that, in terms of your full-time job and your side hustle, how did you approach this conversation with your existing job? Like, did you go to your CEO and say, you're not paying me enough, I'm out? Like, what was the conversation?
So I'm very fortunate to work with an incredible team, and the owner of the business that I work for is exceptionally open to, doing things differently, and is a firm believer in finding things that fill your cup and that you need passions, you need sports, you need things that feed you. And if you can be the best version of yourself, that you bring to the business table in any event. So we've always had that sort of open relationship and dynamic to have those conversations. We were on sort of reduced capacity, reduced salary as well, which opened up the potential to explore some other things that filled, can plug a few of those holes. So the foundation was there for that conversation. I had to be brave. I had to be bold and sort of broach the subject. And I guess it is uncomfortable. It's not something that I just kind of, you pick up the phone or it is something that you have to kind of go, well, how badly do I want this? Am I prepared to have those uncomfortable conversations to create that future that I want? And if you don't ask, you're not going to know. And so I did. I had to put my big girl panties on and have a conversation. And, what's the worst that could have happened? He could have said no. And he didn't. He was very open to it. And he could see that it was something that I was passionate about. And he could see, fortunately, the bigger picture, that the learnings that I was going through in the journey of launching my own business are things that would benefit his business at the end of the day. And I think that takes a huge amount of maturity on behalf of an owner of a business, or a leader, or a manager, or a CEO, to not feel insecure about that, and to not feel threatened by that. And I think it's a great learning for all of us, any of us who are in management, that, I think times have changed, and we've got to be open to it, that people are looking at monetizing, making money differently. I mean, I spent 20 years in Johannesburg, as I said, working for a corporate. I've only been down in Cape Town for 2 and a bit, going on 3 years actually now. And just being in Cape Town has opened my eyes to people who have a day job, but then have a passion for something that they sell at a market in the evenings, where that culture is not prevalent in Johannesburg at all. You literally, you're in at 7 and you're working, and
that's the Joburg vibe.
Days, nights, it's survival, and there's no scope, there's no time or headspace or anything for a side hustle or for a passion project. And so Cape Town, I think, had already shifted things for me to be open to something like that. And it's pretty cool, actually, that to see people living that life where, baking is something that they love, but they may be a lawyer, and that's acceptable, and it's embraced, and it's wonderful, and you're feeding your passion in different ways. So just being open to earning money differently, I think has been a huge eye opener. And yes, so had to be brave, have the conversation, and kind of create the future that I want. We during lockdown, we had an office in Westlake. We were working from home, as everybody was. And I must say, as a mom, I have an 11-year-old son, and I loved that. I loved the freedom of working from home. In fact, I don't think I ever want to go back into working in an office. To be able to have a couple of Zoom calls, work on a strategy document, put something on for dinner, drop off my son wherever, hang washing. It felt like, for the first time in my life, I wasn't always playing catch up. And that I had time for things like cooking or being creative about things which were always just done on the fly because you're on the treadmill. So lots of beautiful, I think, gems that came out of last year, and things that I don't want to go. A lot of people are sort of waiting for things to go back to normal. For me, that's not an option. This is about carving out a future that I want. We have one life, and I believe I want to live it in a way that is fulfilling and happy. I mean, just yesterday, I've got a friend in Cape Town who will message me and say, like, let's go bodyboarding. The waves are great. And, off we'll go. Here's these mid-40s ladies, on the beach. And that's what this life allows us to do, which is amazing.
Yeah, definite recalibration that's happened. But so now let's dig into the side hustle. Briefly tell us what it is, and then I'll ask you the next question.
Okay, so Positano is basically a curated collection of things that I love. I love beautiful things. So there's a gifting range where I've gone and sourced local products from predominantly women-owned businesses. There's lots of wonderful stories of people who've started things that are needing a platform. So I've curated a gifting selection that'll be introducing new things all the time. Most of them are handmade in people's garages, and wonderful stories like that. But then I also have developed a range of resort wear that is for, you'll see on my homepage, it says for people like me who aren't 22 anymore. I find, and it's not to knock anybody, but you're either, if you're on the beach or out and about, you're either wearing something that 27 other people are wearing the same thing as you, or, you know, you don't want to look like mutton dressed up as lamb. And the older you get, you're not interested in like it being fashionable. It must feel good. The fabric must breathe. You want to feel glamorous, but not necessarily worry about fast fashion. So some classic styles, classic designs. I'm not a designer by any means. I'm a businesswoman. So people will ask me like, oh, are you a clothes designer? And I'm like, no, definitely not. I have an eye for color. I have an eye for texture, an eye for detail. And I know what I love and like. So hence that's Positano, very much focused on empowering women, creating a platform. You know, I'm on a lot of these community Facebook pages, and during lockdown seeing wonderful, you know, successful moms that have lost their work and but still have huge amounts of talent and value to bring to the table. So a number of you know, people that I've found along the way that are producing homemade items specifically exclusively for Positano.
Oh, that's amazing. So I want to dive into specifically the idea of sales and marketing, and how did you make your first sale? And then the second part of that question is, how do you continue to promote your brand to continue to make sales?
Okay, so in my previous life, in my previous career, marketing is my thing, and I did kind of think like, oh, this is easy, of course, build it and they will come. Gosh, was I wrong. And every sort of, you know, book that you read and podcast you listen to will tell you exactly that. So I think the first sale was very much friends and family. In fact, the sales are still friends and family.
It's what I tell people, the 3 F's, friends, family, and fools. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So yes, I definitely, people you know, that know me, that have a relationship with me. I have a rather extensive network, and I've used my own platforms, my own social media pages and things to kind of kickstart.
So on that point, I want to just jump in and ask you about this feeling that everyone I coach tells me about. I can't post on my social media. What will people think? What if they don't like it? Like how do I deal with that? So how do you get over that? Because I give 0 shits. So I just post. But for the normal person at a corporate job to all of a sudden shift their social media on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or wherever to go, hey, I'm doing this thing. It's risky. I might fail. How did you get over that?
So I think it ties in really nicely with the conversation with your current employer, because obviously if you're doing this on the sly, you're going to be there's a certain amount of anxiety that comes with those posts, because it's like,
great point.
Am I going to be in trouble? And you know, so fortunately, I think the situation that I was in, and I would encourage everybody to, you know, to not go into it kind of underhanded, and you know, you need as much support as you can get from wherever, and your own social platforms. People want to support people. So I think also being a little bit older, I don't really worry about what other people will think. I mean, we all have those insecurities inside of us, but I believe that I have a story to tell, and I believe that I have worth and value to add, and I think everybody does. And when I do have those kind of down moments or doubting moments, I'll go and on YouTube and watch a motivational video, or I'll read something, or I'll do, you know, something, gratitude journal, whatever, but just to get my head right, because those doubts will creep in, and I'll be like, oh my God, why must they buy from me? What, you know, and you, before long, it's like, let me just shut shop. This is a waste of time. You know, why am I even doing this? And it's important for me to stay focused and to believe. So I really, it's not about giving a shit, in all honesty. Those are people that are in your corner, that are in your circle, and they can help you. And it's about embracing that and just also being authentic. I think what I've done in a lot of so part of Positano, I have only done 2, but I've developed a little blog series called Debbie's Not So Secret Diaries. And there I talk about the insecurities, and I talk about the, I am on my spinning bike with no makeup on, with my hair in a, and sweat, but I'm saying, you know what, I've got to do this because I didn't feel like it. And it's just about being real with the people that are around you and going, oh my God, this is terrifying. I don't know if this is going to work, but you know what? I'm going to damn well give it my best shot, and being okay with that. We're not everybody's cup of tea.
100%. And whether you realize it or not, you've, unbeknownst to yourself, built a business in line with this new movement called Build in Public, where you
100%.
You tell people about your journey, how much money you're making, how many sales you're making, because they become invested in your outcome.
Absolutely.
They want to know where your struggles are. And I mean, I've literally built a career on being honest about my failures. Like, that's why people listen to me, is because I know I fail all the time. So
Absolutely.
if you talk about it, it resonates with people. They realize that you're not alone, and they're not alone.
No, exactly. And in that, relatedness, I think, is what gives people the confidence to be inspired by your story.
Exactly right. So I want to talk to you about how you manage this balance. And I hate the idea of work-life balance, because it's not true. There are not two sides of my life. There's more. But how do you manage a full-time job and your side hustle? Where do you find the time? Because the number one thing that I get people telling me is, oh, Nick, I don't have the time. And I have the same 24 hours in my day as everybody else. I just manage them better. So how do you cope with the full-time job and your side hustle?
Yeah, I think it is exactly that. It's about making time available. There is enough time in the day, I believe. It's just about whether we prioritize it enough. I mean, I'm the first one that can, sort of get a cup of tea in the morning, and an hour later I'm still scrolling through Facebook. But it's actually a conscious choice to go like, no, I'm getting up. I set my day. I set the intention for the day. And I know that I've got certain things that I need to achieve. We as a business work on a project management tool on Asana. So that helps to kind of make sure that I have the little reminders and the red flags and things as I'm managing them. I am a little bit old school as well, in that I always have my little book, and I like to write things, and then I go back and, sort of put them online, so that I make lists, I write things, I highlight them off. I think psychologically it's just to see progress and to see that movement and momentum that just feeds me. And at the end of the day, kind of going like, oh, wow, okay, sure. Wow, that was actually productive, or great. I didn't feel like I achieved much, but gosh, look at that. So just finding these little strategies in place that sort of keep me going. And also, I think one thing launching my own business has taught me is that it doesn't have to be perfect. I've spent so many years in corporate where, people get fired or disciplined for, spelling mistakes in ads and things. And now I'm kind of like, oh my God, really?
The phrase that I try and teach people is that perfection is perilous. If you wait for perfection, you're dying. Yeah.
Totally. And if you're waiting for that perfect moment, you'll never launch. So I'll have online just this week, in fact, I had sold a beautiful top to somebody that just WhatsApped me and said, I saw this online. I'm not really au fait with this whole online booking story. Don't want to put my credit card details on, but can we make a plan? Yes, 100%. But what I'd forgotten to do is go and decrease the inventory on the Shopify store. So of course, when I got another order for that, now I'm going, oh my God, I went to the stock and I'm like, shit, it's gone. Where is it? And so, but what I went to the fabric shop, bought some more fabric. Thankfully there was. I phoned the lady. She was understandable. It's being made as we speak, and everybody's happy. But nobody died. I keep saying we're not finding a cure for cancer here. This is like, and people want to have a relationship with a brand, and relationships are based on mutual respect and trust and give and take. And I think people appreciate an honest phone call to say like, gosh, we messed up, or, but anyway, I'm sorry, I'm digressing. I get quite excited.
Yes, I want to go back to the original question of where do you
Sorry.
find the time? And I mean that actually, I want you to answer quite practically. So between the hours of 9 to 5, you're working on your full-time job, or does your full-time job allow you to have outcomes-based deliveries, not time-based deliveries? Like, talk to me about just a day in the life of Debbie and how you get to your side hustle.
Okay, so definitely my daytime job has output-based expectations and deliverables. There are obviously certain meetings. I have a team, everybody's working from home. So there are certain meetings or days in the week where there are meetings, and those are blocked off. And I also block out chunks of time in the day to do things that I need to do on Positano. So for example, if I know that I am, spending in a number of meetings that I'm not going to get to anything for Positano, I know that evening I'm going to have to put in extra time, and vice versa. There are mornings where I'm getting up at 6 and doing a couple of hours worth of work because I know that actually I'm in a 3-hour strat session and I can't. So generally, like,
planning is important.
Totally. Yeah. And as I get an order, thinking, I'll fulfill later, it's literally like going, because when that order's wrapped and packed and ready, and I know that the courier's on their way, like I can't, so it's planning. But also I think cutting myself a little bit of slack, that does this have to be done today, or actually is it okay to do it tomorrow?
Because if everything is urgent, then nothing is urgent. So some stuff can wait. It's not urgent. It's just e-commerce. You're not, like you said, you're not solving the world's problems.
100%.
That's an important thing, because otherwise you just get this anxiety and stress that you can't get rid of.
And it sucks the joy out of it. And that's what I keep, reminding myself is this is supposed to be fun. Yes, obviously I'd love to make some money in time, but for now, it's got to be fun. Otherwise, why am I doing it?
Spot on. And on that point, my final question before you wrap up for us is, what advice would you give to someone thinking about starting a side hustle?
I would say just start. I think so one of the things that I do regret in hindsight is I'm kind of like a bit of a bull in a china shop, and I'm go. And then now I'm like, I maybe should have documented that strategy or finalized that, like pricing plan. I'm just kind of like, let's go and let's figure it out. And I do think that there is a certain amount of admin. I'm not great with admin, but there's a certain amount of that needs to be in place, and you can't just wing it. So I think do your research, find the niche. I mean, I am still battling a little bit in the fact that especially in e-commerce, it's about finding a solution to somebody's problem, or a product that enables them to do something that they couldn't do before. And I'm not quite there yet. Mine is still kind of a luxury purchase, a luxury brand, and I'm seeing that in the sales. So I think do the research, do your homework, plan properly, and I think it's also about defining upfront. Like I keep saying to people, are like, why did you spend money on packaging? And why have you had your own, tissue paper made and this and that? Why do you focus on those things? And I've branded my car. And they're like, sure, but why are you doing all of that? And I'm like, well, for me, my side hustle is launching a brand. I'm not launching a fly by night. But if you are launching a fly by night and a quick buck, and you've got access to a shipment from wherever, then own it, and don't have a fancy website and don't have a beautiful logo. Just get it into the marketplace and sell it, and then move on. But don't try and be all things to all people.
Absolutely. That's really poignant, and I think a lot of people misunderstand and misinterpret a side hustle because they want it to be what everybody else wants them for it to be. In fact, what you need to figure out, what I try and remind people, is short, medium, long-term money. What are you aiming for? If you're aiming for short-term money, don't build a brand. Don't waste money on nice packaging. At Nick Harry, my sock brand, we invented a scent that went into the packaging that was also It was also in our stores. So when you received the box online and you walked into our store, you had the same smell. Which
talking
for
my
me,
language.
I was, but I wasted money on that. It was an absolute
Totally.
waste of money because the sock is it was a low item buy that I was spending this. It was such a waste. So know what you're going after. Long-term money means you've got time to build a brand. Short-term money means just flip it.
Yeah.
Buy for 10
Hard
Rand,
and
sell for
fast.
20 Rand.
Totally. Yeah. 100%.
Well, that was
Definitely.
amazing. Thank you for your time. And the final thing is tell people where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can buy from you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time. I loved every minute of that. So positano.co.za, Insta and Facebook are both Positano ZA. So give us a
Please
follow.
spell that properly.
Positano. So Positano is a beautiful seaside village on the Amalfi Coast in Italy. It's one of my favorite places
There
ever.
we go. I've been educated.
And it is just the most beautiful place, just color, texture, amazing. And so Positano for me is a state of mind. It's your experience on the store, and part of what I do on my social media is about standing in your power, taking charge and living your best life. So it is that feeling of like anything is possible, and empowering women like me who are in their 40s to, you don't have to settle, just live your best life. You can look beautiful, you can be successful, you can love what you do, and you can just love life. And that's Positano.
Awesome. Thank you again for your time and the advice. I really appreciate it, and good luck.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nick. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.